Hello, I'm Allie,
I'm Deb.
and welcome to another episode of Connected Conversations. Hi, welcome to our episode today. And this episode, it's gonna jar you because I feel this is one of the major addictions that the 21st century will have to take a hold of and have any relationship with. And I'll go as boldly as saying is this is impacting our mental health tremendously beyond, I think, anything else. And this addiction is our addiction to our cell phones. So, Deb and I are here today just to talk about our relationship with our cell phones and how we've managed the energy that we want to put around to it, because I know I've struggled with it. And we both have this beautiful perspective, I feel, because we've lived without cell phones. We've lived without a lot of the new technology. I'm an elder millennial. I'm not, I know I'm a like that cusp sort of, though I did have life before cell phone, before internet, before the whole thing. I was taking typing classes in high school.
You had the rotary phone, didn't you? Did you
Yeah,
have a rotary phone?
we had one of those at one point. And for people who don't understand what that is, you are not an elder millennial, maybe. So, Deb, how would you, I think, describe your relationship maybe over a period of time? Because our relationship now is very different from
Mhm.
maybe when it started or the evolution, because I think it's really important to understand like how we've gotten into this, and it could relate to maybe other patterns that we have in our lives. So I'm curious, like how's your evolution with your phone been?
Yeah, I think when I was working in corporate America, I moved up to VP. So people need you on demand all the time, to the point where the after hours emergency number, I worked in the transportation industry. So it's a 24-hour a day kind of business. And being a kind of smaller run business, people are just on all the time. Like my dad and my uncles work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They were always on call. I understand that maybe that's not ideal and that there was maybe other placements that could have been done. But when I moved up, I was getting the after hours. So I would get calls at 2 or 3 in the morning with a driver out of hours or a bus breakdown or all those like unpredictable things that can happen. But I was on, and I was getting near the end of my corporate journey to the point where I wanted to chuck my phone at the wall. It was awful. I was, sleep deprived. And while I knew I had to be accessible, there were some times when I'm just like, I just do not want to answer this phone right now. So, yeah, I was on demand all the time. And I think from there, and sometimes I don't know if this makes sense, but like, you kind of felt important, when you're looking at your phone and you feel like, oh my God, I'm so in
I made
demand.
it.
Like people,
I
people
made it.
need me right now. People need me. I'm the only one who can answer this question. But from there, as I kind of segued into my own business, I understand the need to communicate with my kids and that, but being on demand, I'm not all about it anymore. And I'm finding even more and more now, I'm okay. I don't need to hear my phone ding every 5 minutes, or I'm very good to shut it off. If I'm working, I often put it on do not disturb, and some people don't understand that. But even for my kids, they need to understand like it was not always on demand. You can wait 5 minutes for an answer or for somebody to answer your phone or to make a sandwich. My son texted me yesterday, can you please have dinner ready for me at 5 o'clock when I get home from work? And I'm like, okay, like we never had this. Dinner was when it was served, right? Like, so yeah, it's evolved and changed. And I definitely I get a little irritated with my boyfriend sometimes because he's always on his phone. And I understand he runs a lot of different businesses and stuff, but I'm like, there is something to be like, shut it off, right? Your kids are okay for 5 minutes without an answer. You can get through a meal without answering your phone. What
Mm,
about you?
those sacred moments of meals. Yeah, it's
Even just being present,
immediacy.
right?
Yeah, and I think like you hit it, like that immediacy that we're so used to, that dopamine hits that happen when we can check our phones, see what's happening. And I I remember in college or high school, I think some people started getting cell phones, like the big, for those like the big ones that you're
With
probably like,
with the carrier,
yeah, and like they
they had like an
just
antenna.
imagine Barbie's phone. Barbie's popular. Imagine Barbie's phone, like not pink, but like something similar.
Mhm.
And no interest. I went through all of college until my very last year without a phone. It wasn't until I wanted to drive out west with a girlfriend, my parents like, you need a phone in case something happens to you. Because I was under the impression that people want to get a hold of me, they can call the landline or we'll make plans before. Like very much like I don't need to be on demand. I want to be free. I don't want to worry about it. Fast forward to like working on ski hills for a phone company and like pumping up like Motorola Crazer, man. Like this is it. Like flip, so popular into like the digital. So I got into technology and at some point I had two phones. I was checking work emails and I did want two phones. Some people would have like one or the other because I did want that separation that on my off time, like I
You
could
had your
close
own.
that down very easily and not be enticed to go onto even like work emails. And then on vacation or on times I was very great at like, this is my sacred time to be rejuvenated. And I found that was really helpful. And over COVID, having very strict boundaries with people because it was known like I'm single, I could very well work 24/7 if I wanted. And that was just not the case. They're like, I know it's late. I was like, yeah, I know. So I'll wait till tomorrow. Like, just, it's really not that important. And that's what it came down to. To the evolution of now being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, I feel like I kind of went back into having to be more on the pulse, like what's going on, what's happening. And I think for myself, it's that loss of community and having some connection at work. So it's almost like my connection is more virtual than in person. So that was a huge takeaway for me to schedule more like, well, we do our podcast, we still talk. So still having contact. So it was looking at like, why has it changed? Because I have been very okay with like boundaries and honoring that. So when I coach to flow states, like flow does not happen if you think you're in flow and you're multitasking, looking at your Instagram, doing whatever. That is not flow. That is you being completely distracted, probably overwhelmed, and high on dopamine from hitting likes or seeing something excited. That is not flow state. So it's funny when I do start talking to people, it's like, oh, what is flow state? They'll often say to me, oh, I'm always in flow. It's like, well, first of all, it's very impossible. You'd probably be dead. And um, it's not multitasking. It is being so focused and so in the zone that it is like superhuman when you're working. And that takes less distractions. So that's why phones, I think, are so important. So what has been like your greatest kind of like tip that you would give people that you have done with your mindset? Because
Mm.
it's easy to say like, hey, this isn't immediate when we live in a society that again like the mindsets are shifting. So how could you have tips of even I think letting people know your boundaries?
I think for me, when it comes to the phone, or like you talk about the distraction, and I almost had somebody run into me on the street because he was like in his phone. Like, be present. And I think, and going back to like a flow state is just being present at the grocery store. Can you be okay in your own skin? Just standing
Mm,
at the grocery store, saying hello to someone. Like, we've lost that connection with other people of just saying hello to somebody. Or when you're walking down the street, take a look around at this beautiful, beautiful nature, or like find something to find gratitude in, because I think we lose that. Like, I don't know, you're not even being present in a conversation when you're always like looking at your phone, or like you're talking to me and I'm texting. That drives me crazy, by the way. So I think for me, it's being
I
present.
once walked away from someone
Did you?
and got up from dinner and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're on your fucking phone.
I think I said that to my ex-boyfriend, actually. He was on his phone during a lunch, and I'm like, I'll go sit over there. I understand if
No,
there's an emergency. I understand there's different situations. So I'm not putting out this blanket statement, but for God's sakes, can we not even have a lunch or a dinner without a phone going off, or just putting down the phone and making that person feel, I think you make somebody feel special when you give them all your attention and aren't distracted by your phone. So I think for me, it's just being mindful about it, being present in the moment, and maybe taking a different look at your relationship to your phone, and why do you need to be on it all the time? What aren't you addressing? Maybe if you're on your phone all night, um, while you're watching TV, like, what aren't you addressing? What aren't you sitting with? What feelings or emotions aren't you willing to address because you need to feel that, like you said, dopamine, or the likes, or like being in this hyper connected world that we live in?
Mm, that's beautiful.
What
Mhm.
would you give away?
Oh my goodness. I would say if you have what you might think like an addiction, it's okay to call it that. Like it's just kind of like being okay with like, okay, this is where I'm at. Um, Sometimes I find that there's this all or nothing approach. Like I'll never do this and I'm gonna only do this. And it just again, the draws towards it are so ingrained to what you're doing. So how can you maybe make little tweaks so that you're changing your body system, you're changing your mindset on what is actually needed? Because I have had clients who it's like it is such um it's such a part of them that it like causes
Mhm.
even more anxiety or more fear or whatever like stories going on. So it can be very again like anyone with like it becomes greater than you. So it's retraining in such a way that maybe it's like okay, I'm just going to start in the mornings instead of like waking up first thing, starting the scroll, seeing the news, seeing the text messages, reading the emails, whatever. And you know what you're doing. Maybe like putting your phone away, having a different alarm clock completely. Again, like you're setting yourself up for success for this one moment in time to do something different, to start retraining your mind and then replacing it. So sometimes it's like, I just want, it's like, okay, like, now what do I do at this time? Well, hey, like, let's do something positive with it. Maybe have that journal next to your bed. What are those first thoughts in your mind? Like, be with your thoughts, be with what's happening. Maybe you want to get up and get out to the gym because that's your goal. So get up, have your gym clothes ready, or drink that glass of water, like something different instead of grabbing for your phone. What do you want to grab for? And I think changing these perspectives in just little bits at a time can be like, oh, this is what calmness means. This is what inner peace could look like, right? Because you want to, instead of like anxiety from seeing so much information to anxiety to taking it all away, it's like, how do you recalibrate in little sorts? And I think those are the things. And that do not disturb and like putting your phone physically away. It's cool if you have it on do not disturb or whatever, but even like the look of your phone um can psychologically like in like it just wants to be there. And same with conversations. And I said it to a few executives I was working with, even at having on the table or in your arms, like it just shows people that there's different priorities than the person in front of you. So again, like if we're working, Deb and I will put things into our purse. We'll still have our computers, we're working together or whatever. But how can you like totally eliminate these distractions? And again, maybe it isn't like I'm not going to touch my phone for a whole day. Okay, that that I've done that and it's very enjoyable. I totally recommend it. However, if it's not possible, inch your way towards um, that dependency. And I would say start in the morning because then that's like just retraining your mind of you are in control. The phone isn't controlling you.
I like that. Scheduling time to look, or to to take a break, I guess, would be a good tip too.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope that you will reevaluate your relationship with technology, specifically your phone. Will maybe choose to be more present in the moment and maybe put it away every now and then. And I think because of that, you're going to find yourself being more present and enjoying your time with yourself, with your family, your friends, with your coworkers, your bosses, and meetings. So put away your phone. Have a great week, everyone. Make sure you catch us on Monday for a kickstart to your week. And we will be back next Thursday with an episode of Connected Conversations. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share with your friends and rate and recommend on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. There will be links to more great resources in the description.